Welcome to RISE coaching module number 3, Mastering Difficult Conversations and Conflict. I have prepared 3 videos to cover dialogue, mastering your emotions, how to approach dialogue, how to approach a tough conversation, and how to ask powerful questions and how to create psychological safety, particularly when other people react irritated. So let's get started with mastering our emotions in this first video. Tough conversations aren't just uncomfortable, they are powerful catalysts for growth. When we face them with courage, we don't just resolve conflict, we unlock our professional development and that of the person in front of us. These conversations definitely open the door to honest communication. They strengthen trust with the people in front of us and the relationship with them, and they also spark innovation. Why? Because by welcoming diverse perspectives, so people who can maybe be in disagreement with you or you in disagreement with others, we spark innovation, new possibilities will arise. Avoiding those tough conversations keeps us stuck. Embracing them, that's where real leadership begins, and that's where you earn respect. Let's get started. What are the 3 parts that we will cover in this first video? Understand how our brain works, practice self-regulation, and employ a reframing technique, which is a very simple technique to master our emotions. I love this quote: "You can't always change your reality, but you can change what it looks like inside of you." What does it mean? So, by the way, this is Dr. Caroline Leaf. She's a neuroscientist in the USA. You can't change what happened to you or what happens to you, but you can change how you think about it and how you feel about it. So that's a choice, like you choose between a cup of coffee and a cup of tea. We always have that choice. That's why we need to understand how our brain works. So let's have a look at this. So this little scheme here, let's have a look at this. Is this one before we go into an example? So when we hear something or we hear something or we see something, immediately we interpret it. Immediately we judge, we come to assumptions, we have suppositions or conclusions why a person does that. So that we call that interpretation or telling yourself a story. Based on that interpretation triggers your feelings, and the feeling trigger your reaction. That's such a fast process. It's not even a second, and we're not aware of it, so it's unconscious. Now let's illustrate that. Imagine a simple situation: someone had to prepare a report for you and delivers it in time within the desired quality. You judge this person, you see this, you so interpret this as a very reliable person, very professional, and you're happy and you react in accordance, maybe thanking this person. Now let's assume the opposite. So someone had to prepare the report and delivers it 3 days late. How do you judge or how you interpret the situation? Well, you judge the person as unreliable, and this may trigger the feeling of disappointment. You're angry, frustrated, and you're losing trust to this person, and you may react in accordance to those feelings. You may complain, you may grumble, make sarcastic comments, or worst case scenario, you say nothing. Now, if we want to react differently, we need to work our way backwards, analyze our feelings and say, how do I feel? Face those feelings, acknowledge those feelings, and figure out what interpretation, what judgments, assumptions, suppositions, or conclusions did I make that make me feel frustrated by looking at the facts, the objective facts. Now, let's practice this by mastering. So we need to get to mastering this process. So self-regulation, so practicing self-regulation is that we challenge ourselves. We say, is what I'm thinking true? Can I prove it? Do I have objective facts? Do I have numbers? do I have maybe an email or something that proves that? What do I have as objective facts? And then another really important question is this thought helping me? Is this thought helping me? Because sometimes we have very unhelpful thoughts. So we need to kind of reframe them in that regard. You could ask yourself, what else could be true? What could be um, what could be reasons for the other persons to behave that way? What could be different reasons than what I interpret in the first moment? And can I see this differently? Yeah. So is this helpful, and how can I see it differently? These are very important questions to self-regulate your emotions, and then we can go deeper by reframing the situation. So the situation was he didn't deliver the report to me. Okay. My first instinct was he's lazy. My task was not important to him. So my first instinct, that's an automatic reaction, is the problem is the person. We call that fundamental attribution error. In order to get out of this negative thinking, we consciously choose to take a different perspective on the situation. So consciously, we assume positive intent, like lawyers. Yeah? By assuming positive intent, we find alternative explanations, such as maybe he lacks skills. Maybe his boss told him not to do this because he has other priorities imposed by his boss. Or maybe he does not know why it is important. So, in this thought, I take responsibility for the situation. So maybe I didn't explain how important it was or why it was important, and I absolutely needed it for that date. And or I could say maybe someone did not provide the information the person needed in order to produce the report. So you see, these are consciously more constructive explanations, getting out of this negative perspective, taking consciously different perspectives on the same situation. Now, the impact is important, because if we compare, if I say as a first interpretation, my task was not important to him, he doesn't care about me, then I'm disappointed, frustrated, or angry. If I manage to get out of this negative perspective and consciously choose a more constructive angle, so like we did say he doesn't know why it is important, then I feel responsible as well. Maybe I have contributed to the situation somehow. And I'm curious to find out what really happened. You see, we had 5 or 6 different perspectives. Now I'm curious and maybe even a little bit empathetic to say maybe something prevented him to do what I was asking for. So that's what we want to develop, is this kind of open mindset. And really important here is we don't do that to make the other person feel innocent or come with excuses. This work, this reframing, we do that consciously for ourselves in order to help ourselves to get out of anger and frustration, get our feelings on a neutral level, because only with feelings on a neutral level we are able to have a constructive, crucial conversation. When we are angry and disappointed, we will not be able to lead a crucial conversation. It will go up the creek. So this is really important to know. Now, now obviously you're curious. The next step is to go into dialogue, check your assumptions, and find out what was the context on the other side, find out what really happened. And here I invite you to go to video 2 and learn how to safely open up the dialogue. See you in the next video.